Welcome back to Chalumbi, everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today, I want to give some advice to everyone, especially the younger adult who might be getting ready to leave college, has exited college, or a few years thereafter, and still trying to understand what to do in this job market. Here's some advice for you. It's going to be centered around LinkedIn, how to search, a little bit of a mindset, and some advice on how to write this stuff down. So, first and foremost, um, which job searcher to specifically use. Some people say Indeed. Some people say go to the actual company websites, which I actually like that one as well. But what I would tell you to do is to use LinkedIn. And before we go talking about the actual search itself, first and foremost, build up your LinkedIn. Now, if you're a student just leaving university, college, that's a little bit tough. I would still say write in here, what have you done? Some of the value add stuff. I was a athlete. I did this, and that. I was a part of, this club, that club, young Democrat club, young Republican club, blah 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 blah. Whatever extracurricular activities, your internships. I mean, that's first and foremost. That's weighted more than everything I just said, right? And of course, if you were an athlete, etc., put that down. And some of the value add stuff that you learned from it, right? I learned how to communicate better with people. I was the president of such and such club. I spent 6 months at Microsoft doing the internship for as a business analyst on the XYZ team, right? Start the takeaway is build that out. Build that out, right? So just write stuff in there, get used to it. Start also too, advice number two is find your friends, find your classmates, find your ex-teammates, add them there, your uncles, mom, dad, older people you know, start adding. And also, and this kind of is going to go into what I'm about to say next, as you're researching companies, search that company and try to add other entry level people that you might find as well to continue building that network. So, anyways, for that chapter, that's build out your LinkedIn. I'm sure there's someone who can speak way more eloquently and better at that, but that's my first and initial advice. Build out your LinkedIn. Okay, so chapter two now. Go on LinkedIn and click on this job button right here. All right. Now, the obvious is look for a job, right? So if you want to search sales rep, account executive, business analyst, etc. But here lies the problem. I don't know what jobs to search for. Aha. Okay. That's why I mentioned earlier I like the advice of go to the company website. So what I want you to do now is start writing down companies that are local to you and you need to research them. Go on Google Maps, go on google.com, companies around me, tech companies around me, financial companies around me, whatever the case might be. Okay? Start making a list of companies and nationally that you like as well. Microsoft, and again, I'm making an example. Microsoft, Google, Hewlett Packard, Dell, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, etc., 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 and whatever locally, Flanagan's, you know, and then go to those websites, click on jobs, careers, what have you, and start looking at what are they hiring for, and things that your degree hooks into. So if you studied business, you can easily get into sales. So number one, just to repeat this back, look for companies locally and nationally. And I hate to tell you, some of you guys, but you're going to have to move, okay? Nationally, companies that you like or interested in and that you find in your research, make a little list. You go into their websites, look at what they're hiring for, okay? And that's going to give you an idea of what to search for. And this is all like a learning process. Okay, this is I see they hire some sales. There's some different type of analysts. There's a financial analyst. There's a business process analyst, right? There's a revenue operations analyst, etc. There's a web developer. There's this type of developer. There's this that, right? There's in-house counsel, out-house counsel. Whatever your world is from your studies, look at that. Okay, you take that information and then you come in here and you search for it. We're going to take a sales example. Okay, so you start looking what's here now, with a mix of what we just did by searching for LinkedIn and looking at the company website. You're going to do something else too. In my example, we're talking about sales. Now notice I'm saying sales, but I search for account executive. There lies my point. The work persona, let's call it, that you want to search for, companies will call it different names. Account executive, inside sales, outside sales, field sales. All that is sales. You see what I'm saying? Are you getting my point? So as you continue looking at specific companies on their website for what are the deals are that you want to search for, and also what are they calling stuff, and you got to keep flipping through the companies and seeing. Company A calls it account executives. Company B calls it, they differentiate. They call it inside sales versus outside sales, et cetera, et cetera. You take that information, you come back to LinkedIn, and you search for it, right? You can search for it in your location. In this case, I'm in South Florida, so let's see what Miami has, and so on and so on. Okay, and then you take this information and start writing it down. And let's go in reverse. So what I was saying about identifying titles and job personas, right? Write it down here. Make your notes. And if you're, especially if you're a younger person watching this, listening to this, you're going to have to find those entry level roles. That entry level is defined as like 0 to 2 years, I think. But take a look at that and again, see what different companies are calling it. Right? Marketing development rep, inside development rep, right? Business development rep, a partner development rep, etc., etc., etc. See all these different avenues for that persona. Write it down for your notes. Now, as you start physically applying, of course, you have to have your resume and all that type of stuff that's out of scope for this video. um, the companies that you start liking, I want you to write them down, right? Microsoft, Google, Chase, Bank of America, what have you, and link to their job boards right here. Because again, everything I've said, that's you're going to cycle that over and over and over. So let's say tomorrow is the first day of the job search and all that. You do everything that I say. The next day after that, you rinse and repeat. You go through the list all over again. Go to the first company, the second company, look for the open jobs. What are they calling new stuff? Yes, searching for a job is a full-time job, right? You keep cycling into that till you hit payday, okay? But again, to repeat, write down the companies over here to the left that you like, and to the right, the link to the specific job board, which you're going to go back and reference this and look at it over and over and over. All right. And then here is the moneymaker, where as you apply to something, you are going to write down the company, Google, what have you, what was the title, some notes to yourself, and a link to the job description. Why? Because when they call you back and say, oh, hi, such and such, when are you available to have a chat? Which, by the way, some note on that, most of the time for professional companies, it's going to be an initial call with the recruiter. Then it's going to be a call with the hiring manager, like your actual boss, but professionally you call them your manager. And there could be a little bit afterwards, one or two follow-up, not emails, but meetings, interviews with either your future colleagues, what have not, and then you'll find out from there. Entry level might just stop at the manager, the hiring manager, but these days, you may get an additional one or two interviews. Either way, back to this. You save the link to the job because when you get that call, you're gonna refresh yourself or print this out, and you're gonna refresh yourself and see. Okay, they asked for Excel. They asked for examples of leadership opportunities. They talked about this. They talked about that, and you need to do your research on questions to ask. You need to do your research on preparing for the interview, right? Different methodologies that might be out there. Again, that's out of scope for this video, but basically, net, prepare for the interview. And you have that job description that you can go back and reference. Okay. Another side note, especially if you're younger, and this all might be super new to you, of course, they didn't teach you in college, but you can, everyone has this. You don't have to pay for this. If you have a Google account, you already have this. You can go to drive.google.com based off of whatever browser you're logged into with your Google account, and you have like a Google version of Word, Sheets, I'm sorry, Excel, which is Sheets, right? If this is all new to you, go play with that because this is stuff that you don't need a Microsoft Office 365 license or whatever they call it these days. If you have a Google account, you have Google's Microsoft version of it already. I think it's called Google Suites, where um, Microsoft Word equivalent is Google Docs, Microsoft Excel equivalent is Google Sheets, et cetera, et cetera. And you can go here, right, drive.google.com, right click, and you can spin up whatever you need. PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint is called Google Slides, which you won't need this for this purpose. But yeah, and there you go. And then you come back to LinkedIn and you keep searching over and over all these different iterations of that job persona that you might be interested in. I hope that helps to the younger people and those that are searching that may not, be in the know or didn't think about how to look at it this way. But in summary, of course, obviously, go to the companies that you like, but I want you to write them down in your little tracker, right? Have the link to it. I want you to constantly look at it. I want you to see what the different companies are calling the job personas that you like. You take that, you can use Indeed, whatever, but for professional work, the gold star is LinkedIn. You go to LinkedIn, first and foremost, you got to start building up your LinkedIn muscle, right? Connect with your friends, family, older people you might know, right? I start asking for connections to people who work at these places, entry level that you find, right? Write up your experience in university, or if you've had your first job already and now you're getting ready to look out again, write down everything, flesh that out, Here's something else I didn't mention too, because a few years from now, once you start having more experience, recruiters look at LinkedIn when they're obviously recruiting for new roles, and they're going to contact you. Hi, such and such. I have an opportunity at XYZ company. Take a look at this. Tell me if you're interested. That's not going to happen, especially if you're younger and you're out of university, right? Out of college. But put a few years into it, your mid 20s, late 20s, when you have a couple years under your belt, 100% that's going to start happening. So, nonetheless, you you build up your LinkedIn, you search with it, right, and you search all those different iterations, right? If you're new, again, to this whole world, drive.google.com. If you have a Google account, that will help you. And of course, write this stuff down. Again, in quick summary, write down the iterations of the different job personas you might be interested in. Again, this is a very heavy sales example, but you'll see a bunch of different things out there that might catch your eye: marketing, operations, et cetera, right? Write down the company list. I've already said this a few times with the link to the job boards that you're going to constantly cycle through. Same with LinkedIn. Every day, every time you cycle through this, you're going to look at the companies itself and LinkedIn itself. And then, of course, you're going to write down who was the company that you applied for, the link, the title, and some notes to yourself. Because when, God willing, you get that call, you're going to easily reference it and remind yourself. Because I'll end on this note: you're not going to apply to 5 jobs and wait. You're going to have to apply to like 50, 100, 200, 300, especially if the economy is bad, struggling, what have you. High interest rates, right? Which, again, if you're younger, if the interest rates are high, that affects companies because they can't borrow as much, they don't hire as much. You'll learn all that as you continue to mature and become professional. But, yeah, I hope that helps. Good luck. Please subscribe and hang out here on my channel. You'll see some other stuff you might be interested in. Thank you, everybody. Good luck. Bye-bye.